Hi Gemini, welcome to your December 2016 love reading. It's Raina here, and before I lay out the cards, I just wanted to mention the transit of Venus, the goddess of love, and she is going to begin the month in your, it's going to be the 8th house because it's going to be in Capricorn. That's your 8th house. And the reason I know that is because Sagittarius is your opposite sign, and that would be your 7th house, and then you just add 1. And I'm a Sagittarian, so I'm naturally interested in all things Sagittarius. But so you're going to have this real intensity, which is kind of uncharacteristic for your sign. Actually, you're kind of very light, and I'm broad brushing. Please understand that. And yet, you know, it's a tendency for an air sign to be like a little bit detached from those kinds of intense emotions, because this is the natural house of Scorpio. So Venus in this house creates this sort of depth to a romantic relationship. For some of you, you may be kind of getting very deep with a partner. But that's like the first week of the month, and then it goes into the 9th house. And for some of you, because it's in the house of foreign travel, if you have any travel plans, and of course this is December, so some of you may be traveling back home, but maybe even taking a vacation, you might meet somebody overseas, you might meet somebody far away from home. And it can also deal with universities, so maybe you're going to find love on campus. What else? Or in a spiritual setting. So that's very interesting. Okay. It's getting a little dark out here, you know. That's why I put on my Himalayan salt crystal lamp. But, you know, I like that. I like that glow. It's just that, you know, I don't want it to cause a glare. So I got to make sure. The 6 of Cups. I mean, when do I not pull this card lately? It's getting to be a private joke with myself. Okay. Some of these cards are kind of feeling the glare, so I will hold them up anyway. Okay, this is the overall energy. Now this is the guy on the, I don't know if it's Harlequin or Harlequin romance novel. This is that ideal man. I'm going to say it. There, I said it. It's a man. I mean, you know, it's a general reading. I suppose you can have the ideal feminine version of this, but I mean, I want to say that this is a man because it's a knight. And the knight represents the masculine element. The cups represent the feminine element. So this is a man in touch with his feelings. Could be a water sign because it is cups. So it could be a, what do you call them? A Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces individual. This could be somebody who is artistic. And, you know, I always say with Gemini that the Pisces people seem to be the usual suspects when it comes to one of those water signs. And so, but it could be any water sign, or they don't have to have the sun in a water sign. They may have that signature. So they have that kind of poetic nature. Maybe they're songwriters. Maybe they're singers or painters or poets, or, you know, they just have a creative soul, the soul of an artist. And well, I was just thinking, could this be you? But I think it's going to be that person. Okay, interesting. Another knight, Knight of Swords in the past position. Now, if this is another person, this is a person who is much more cutting, just to the point, blunt, almost, like this could be like somebody who makes their living with their mind. Definitely is somebody that could be you. Now, this could, if I talk about the progression here, that might have been you then, and now you're this. Now you're the Knight of Cups. You've kind of softened up because you've met your soulmate, because that's what this card that I keep, finding over and over again. Maybe this has to do with that twin flame phenomenon. I don't know. I have to check into the twin flame thing, because I keep seeing it. Every time they put out a video about twin flames, it just gets all these hits, because people are really into that. And I still don't know enough about it to talk about it. I've heard some kind of things that are, a little confusing to me. But in any case, you may have found somebody who is the right person for you. I actually think that is absolutely true, because we also have the Ace of Cups. This is the beginning of love. Now, this is a romance, but you see, it's not like if I would have picked the Ace of Wands, it would be more like just this passionate affair type of thing. And that could definitely lead to something permanent also. But this is really kind of at that soul level. So it's kind of like when I talk about Venus being in the 8th house, it's like this soul level kind of activity going on. So for some of you, if you have met somebody recently, and of course, if you're watching in November, gosh, I'm posting this up on November 4th. So this could be happening in the month of November for you. And then by December, it's already, there. So you may meet somebody who really changes you. And maybe you've had that, the Knight of Swords is really kind of living by their wits, and is pretty, there's like, with some of the knights, like the Knight of Swords and the Knight of Wands, there's a kind of a chaotic energy. This can also refer to men who are in the, I would say, the adulthood, but not, maybe going up to about 35. But nowadays, with extended adolescence, you could probably say a guy into his 40s. I saw Keanu Reeves, and he looks like, he's 25 years old, and he's like over 50, I think. So, people are 40 years old. You have guys who are 40, and they look the same, and then you if you watch Leave It to Beaver, I don't know, maybe I didn't see the original Leave It to Beaver. I mean, I saw it in reruns, so don't get any funny ideas here. But but when I would see it as a kid, I mean, that was a show from the 50s and early 60s, and they were probably like 40 years old, and they looked like they were like 60 because of the way they dressed, So now you have, more, the ideas and the lifestyles of people tend to kind of support not growing up. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, there's different ways of looking at it. But, the other thing, too, is that you are a youthful sign. So, you could be 60 years old listening to this, and you might be very, people might think that you're 40, So it's definitely possible that some of you do not look as old as you really are. And the Knight of Swords is somebody who is kind of like, it's supposed to represent that age group, like, until about 35. But, as I say, it's all in the mind, right? I mean, the concept of how to live life. So it doesn't really have actual, expiration dates or whatever we want to call it. So that sounds like some of you have had your heart opened up, your heart chakra opened up. And, but what's crossing you is the High Priestess. So there might be something that you're not seeing. Maybe, maybe you're seeing what you want to see. Sometimes when I see this card of the Knight of Cups, even when it's in the upright position, I always think of too good to be true, because it's just my personal opinion that when people are, they seem like the perfect man or the perfect woman, and they don't show any flaws. I mean, you have to be careful, because we're all human, and we all have areas of our life that we have to improve, right? So if somebody tries to present themselves as always understanding, always think, it's easy to get to fall into that trap of, wow, the perfect person, because of that need for the ideal. But, just, always keep your head. And, of course, telling that to a Gemini is really ironic, because you guys tend to be very logical. But, everybody, if you meant the right one, you may just throw caution to the wind. And I'm just saying that the person who is this sensitive soul that may have come into your life, I don't like to pick on Pisces, but Pisces, for instance, Pisces can be a chameleon. So they can present themselves as one thing to one person, and something totally different to another person, not because they're con artists, but because they really have that flexibility. They're mutable signs. Now, you're a mutable sign too, and you are a chameleon too. So you have that in common with Pisces. But Pisces knows how to manipulate, because because water signs know what makes other people tick. And so they can get into people's heads. Actually, you could say hearts very easily. You can get into people's heads yourself, being a Gemini. You can play mind games with the best of them. And I always say that Gemini people are great used car salesmen, because they can just, talk a great game. And I don't know if anybody's going to be offended by that, but I don't mean it in a disparaging way. Because, used car salesmen have to eat too, right? So why should we put them down? But in any case, watch to make sure, and also listen to your intuition. Some of you may have misgivings and you're not listening. Okay, so you have to listen to what your gut is telling you. And even if the person is presenting themselves as ideal, if you get this twinge that something is not quite right, then just sit with it. You don't have to move in with somebody after the third date because you think they're the perfect person. The advice is the Empress card. So this is a card that's actually associated with Libra. So it is possible that maybe in the past you were with a Libra, you are currently with some water sign individual, and maybe they're saying this is more suitable for you. But also the Empress relates to the mother archetype, the Earth Mother archetype. And so it's also about the divine, I would say it's about the divine feminine in a way, even though it's kind of like earthy. If you are a woman and you're a Gemini, do you have that, maybe you're coming in touch with your feminine side. If you're a Gemini woman, maybe you kind of live in your head, and this person is really opening up your heart, and that is allowing you to become more sensitive. And I'm sorry, I take back everything I said at the beginning when I said this has to be a man, because now I can see very clearly in my own mind's, my own ideas anyway, that maybe, for those of you who are female Geminis, maybe, you have a lot of that masculine energy, and that now you're opening up and you're kind of exploring your feminine side. Maybe you kind of have always felt, oh no, I have to be a tomboy. I have to be, one of the guys. And now you've met a person that allows you to, oh yeah, that's pretty cheesy if I say, you make me feel like a natural woman. Yeah, You know what? I think I'm going to use it as a title. You make me feel like a natural woman. But then what about the Gemini men out there? Are you going to feel like you're being slighted? So I apologize in advance. Please let me use that, because that's perfect. But it really is that coming in touch with that softer side. But also, some of you may be if you're in your 20s, late 20s, in your 30s, and you have never gotten married, and you're thinking, you know what, I want to be a mother. I never thought I did, but now I do. It could be one of those deals. What else could the Empress? The Empress could mean that if you do, let's say you have children, that you think of your children. That whatever decisions you make, there might be something that you don't know that is kind of like hidden from you. So make sure you know what you're getting yourself into, because you have to consider the well-being of your children when you get into a new relationship. So it could be a number of things, but the outcome is the Page of Cups. So this is a card of somebody who is very idealistic. The shadow aspect can be gullible and naive, so it could be somebody who is easily fooled. Now, we see that fish jumping out. That could be Pisces. It is a water sign, so it could be also Cancer or Scorpio, but it could be talking about that this is the person that you end up with. Also an aspect of you becoming like a child. Like it says in the Bible, as you become like a child. And the thing is, it's like childlike, not childish. Playful and trusting, not naive and, immature. There are different ways to behave that will be constructive versus destructive. But this is a very gentle energy. So whether it's that other person who is really, is innocent, maybe you thought, maybe the High Priestess in reverse is just you, like, not learning from your mistakes or not trusting your intuition, and maybe you're the one who is very suspicious of this person, and maybe the outcome is saying, no, this is a good person. This person isn't trying to do anything to you. They're innocent. And you have to be the one to trust. So it can work either way, but also I think it could be an aspect of yourself that you're not going to be cynical. You're going to be your heart wide open, for love. The Ace of Cups is a beautiful card of new beginnings in love. You know what? You're going to have in December a full moon in your sign on December 13th. So this is really important in terms of perhaps something to do with another person, because that whenever you have a full moon, that means that there's a opposition between the sun and the moon. And so the sun is going to be at that same degree. And I think it's 22 Sagittarius. So definitely pay attention to that as well. That might be a time when relationship issues come to light. Now, this would be for more of an established relationship. So it all depends on, exactly what your particular situation is. But still, having a full moon in your sign means that you become, that maybe some aspect of yourself ends. Maybe you stop being a certain way. And, that could have to do with that tendency to be kind of too in your head and not in your heart. And maybe, someone can help you to get over that tendency. So that would be wonderful, Gemini. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you'd like a private reading using your natal chart and the tarot in some of the readings, please, visit my website. I'm providing a link below this video. But otherwise, have a wonderful, romantic December. Bye.